right, so we are starting off part one of the massive wheat cent treasure hunt search. There's really not a whole lot I could say other than wow. I've been through this much right here, approximately $3 face in wheat cents. I'm starting with all 1950s. And I don't know if you guys saw the kickoff video to the batch I have here. I got about 4,300 pennies that I purchased at 3 cents a piece. And the idea is you buy these and you cherry pick the whatever out of them to maximize just the overall value, whether you're keeping them for your collection or you're going to sell them. So what I tell you, I said generally with these lots, I want to profit around $200 or more. Okay, so 200 is that minimum amount that I've kind of set my sights on. And then whatever else above that's all gravy. And what I'll do is I will flip these. I'll sell them on eBay. Some coins, you know, I'll pop them off for $5-10 a piece, but they all add up. Well, going through the first 300 cents out of this one bag right here that's open, I think I'm there at $200. Now, I have about 55, 60 pennies that I'm going to share with you. Not all in one video. What I'm going to do is break it up in maybe 2 or 3 videos. This is just absolute insane. I think I hit the mother load with this lot, just going through the first couple hundred Lincoln wheat cents out of the bunch. But for this video, we are going to focus on doing die breaks on this one. Okay, who doesn't like a great mint error? So that's going to cut it down to probably about 25 coins. Hope you guys don't mind for this. And I will tell you whether or not it's sellable in the condition that it's at. So you'll have to kind of bear with me as I go through this, just to be sure that we're all kind of like on the same page here. So we have a 1954S. Let's see if I get this light a little bit brighter for you. And this one has quite a bit of stuff going on right here in the date. Okay, so during the 50s, especially with the Denver and San Francisco mints, and Philadelphia mints too. So the Philadelphia minted coins won't have a physical mint mark underneath the date. So this is actually an S minted coin, but you could see a bunch of little die chips. All right, and this is a commonality throughout the coinage of that time. All right, so you got a lot of things that happen like this. Generally with these type of coins, there's so many of them out in the secondary market that you will be lucky to, you know, obtain about 50 cents to $1 for each one. It really all depends on how much is going on here. So you got a die chip, obviously in the 9, that's quite substantial. There's a die chip on the top of the S, that top curl, and then a little bit in the 5 right there on that little bar action there. So that's something probably I won't sell, only because it's not going to be worth it. I may bunch it up into a group of other coins. Same with this one. This is a 55S, and then you can see this big old hunk of chunk of metal right here in this bottom curl of the 5. All right, so something like this, while it's neat, will probably go into a bulk lot. All right, so figure for all these coins are worth about quarter to 50 cents. A neat little oddity, and they are definitely worth more than how much I paid. Now here's another one, a 52D with an earlier die state. You can actually see a crack that goes from the mint mark to the bottom curl of the 9. And this is an earlier die state, and the reason why I say that is you actually, on the later die states, get this crack that forms a big old die break that engulfs nearly the entire left side of the D mint mark and then goes up, sweeps up. It almost looks like a wing. It's affectionately referred to as a flying D die break. The flying Ds you could sell for about $5 as a later die state. But for that one there, it's going to go in a bulk pile. So this one right here, you have a pretty good sizable die break in that top curl of the 9. And then you have another smaller break or a crack that goes from the bottom curl of the 5 to the mint mark. So when you get stuff like this where everything's all interconnected and it looks really tangled up, that's what collectors like. And then you even have like an earlier progression of a BIE connecting the B and the E. So there's like a formation of a die break, a little chip in between those two letters in Liberty. So once it's fully formed, or maybe you get a nice clearly defined early or mid die state of that progression, then it's going to be worth it. Like this one here. That little break that forms off of the E is actually touching the B. So this one right here has all sorts of nastiness happening over here with the date and mint mark. And then you have this going on here. Now this is the first coin that I've showed you to this point where I could confidently sell it for $4.99 shipped. Okay, so I'll end up making a few bucks off of this one because of this, and then because it is a BIE, although it's an early die state, but it's still formed quite nicely. And again, keep an eye out for these coins in your change because they pop up. These do pop up. Usually when you go through a box of pennies, I average anywhere from about 15 to 20 wheat cents, and generally one of them is going to have some sort of weird die break action. So here's the 52S. You could see a nice die chip connecting the 9 and 5. Pretty nice, but that's going to go in the bulk. All right, and then I have something here neat that's pretty neat. This is actually a mid to late die state formation of a controversial die chip. Okay, that depending on the die state that you receive of this coin, this die chip that's encompassed in this bottom curl of the 5 will actually look like a D mint mark. Okay, for the longest time, people have thought that that is indeed a D mint mark. But after looking for the like a little bit earlier die state or a much later die state, that simply is not the case. So this is the earliest die state I have of this example, where you begin to see kind of that beginning formation of that gob here. And then here's one of what it would look like if it looked like a D mint mark. I mean, it truly does look like a D mint mark. I'm not joking. So I could see why it has tripped up many people for many generations. Coin collectors, that is. But you could see what a later die state of the same die chip looks like. It really does look like a D mint mark. All right. So again, it's not a mint mark. It's a chip. All right. Here's another one. Much more fully defined, but it'll fool you because that left side there is really straight. I mean, it does look like and appear the same as a Denver mint mark. It's got the same shape and dimensions and everything like that. And what's cool is I found about 6 of these. So here's another one, probably the best one out of the bunch. There you go. So we're beginning to get into the later die states here. It still looks like a D in that bottom curl. And then I have a few here that are much later. And then you begin to see the 5 and the S combine here when more of that die breaks off, connecting the mid mark and that numeral. And then finally, we have this one as well. A much later die state. That's a pretty nice bridge. It even connects to the 9. You see that? That's pretty crazy. Something like this I could throw up for $4.99. It'll sell just like that. So that's a good example of something that we'll look for. All right, so what do we have here? We have, okay, so this is, you can't really see it until I point to it, But this is an example of what we refer to as an interior die break. All right, you guys have heard of the Lincoln cracked skull coins. This is exactly what this is. So you have a 1955. You have a nice die break right here. You see that line right there, that crooked little line, that crack, and it goes all the way into his skull. He was out drinking that night and fell off his bar stool. So that's one example. And these coins can sell for about $1 to $5 if you get a coin that is in much nicer shape. Now this one is a 57D. It's got a die chip in the 5. And then you have this pretty nasty bump right here. This is as if he fell off a bar stool and hit his head. This is what it would look like. You don't have very much more progression of this break right here anywhere in the back. You know, sometimes they'll get all funky and really dramatic there, but not that one. So we found about 6 of these, all different. So here's a 52S. You can see this break right here. Pretty cool. I could probably sell all these as one lot and make out, you know, like $5. Here's another one, a 54S with some die chip action and the 1, the 9 connecting to the S. And then here's your little die break. Interior die break again. And all of these are attributed on Cuds on Coins. So a lot of these have already been discovered. These are not new. This one is especially neat. Okay, you have a nice die crack that goes right into Lincoln's head. So you got some smaller little chips and breaks in his hair area, and then you have this crack that goes all the way to the edge on this 52S. One of the nicer specimens I've come across. Of course, I've come across a lot of nice specimens. Here's the 58, and now this is what I'm talking about. See all this die break action? You even have a crack that goes radial through the D in God, and then back into Lincoln's head, like his head exploded from the back. All right, so that one's really cool. That one's actually worth probably $5 to $10 on its own. The last one I saw sold, I think, for $7 or $8. Now this one right here is a 57D. It's got kind of a funky, like, sunken die right here between the 9, 5, and D. It's almost as if whoever was working on this die had dropped something on the die, and you have this bulge underneath the 9, 5, and the D mint mark. That's kind of neat, and I actually have a number of those. I probably won't show all of them, but they all look like that. And then here's your break on his kind of like temple right here, but this one has a scratch. So this one's really not all that sellable on itself. All right, so what else do we have here? We have a 57D with a couple chips. Now this one right here, I think I'll save for a different video. I'm not gonna point out exactly what we have. It's pretty intense though. I'll probably do that with the variety video because I found like 5 or 6 really cool varieties that I think you guys will like. 58D, the only thing of note, see where the mint mark is? There is actually a die scratch, a die gouge connecting the D and the 5. Okay, it's a pretty nice scratch, and under a certain kind of light, it looks like, you know, like a comet flying through the mint mark. That's not worth really much of anything because you see die gouges and, you know, die file lines all the time. This one right here has a really crazy die crack that goes through we and in God we trust and then into his skull, and then you have all of these little die breaks, these chips going on this 52. This one is interesting enough that I think that I'd probably get about $10 for this one. This one's pretty nice. It's about a VF 30, 35-ish type grade, and it's solid. It's not all gunked up with grease and crap. This one right here is definitely a seller. So I've got 3 coins sitting aside that I'm going to put on eBay. You guys can check that out on my channel or on my eBay site. So this is a 55S. This one has another die gouge that goes through the 5. It looks like a pin, you know, like a sewing needle that's going through the S mint mark. It's pretty long and pretty deep. That one probably won't sell on its own. It's a neat oddity though. Here's a 51S that has a bisecting die crack. I don't know if you could see it next to the W. It goes into his head, and I was able to follow it down to where his cheek is, and I kind of lost it. And it comes back through his bow tie right here, and you could see the faint crack. Now this is an earlier die state of this die wear. The later ones will actually have a much thicker die crack that you could follow all the way through on this 51S, but that's a pretty neat coin whenever you have a bisecting die crack of that nature. And I believe this is another bisecting. Yeah, it is. So it's the same one, same set of dies, and you could follow that die crack all the way through. Right there, pretty neat. And this one's in nice shape too. All right, and then finally, we are gonna get to most of the value on this video. I think I have about 15 coins here. It's going to comprise nearly $100 of value. I could take, right now, I could take these coins, put them up on eBay for between $5 and $10 a piece and sell out of all of them, probably within the next week or two. Okay, I didn't say it would be a fast seller, but these things are highly collected, and if they're affordable, you're in good shape. 57D, okay, Denver Mint Mark, BIE. There's your progression right there. See that die chip that's formed in between the B and E to give it the illusion of a letter I in between there. So if you go on Cuds on Coins, you'll see all of the different listings for BIEs. And these sell like hotcakes. They sell really well, especially coins that are in much nicer shape. And I got a few of them in here. Here's another 57D BIE. This one has a different state of progression. Even the lower curl of the B in Liberty has a really nice formed die chip as well. So, oh, and you even have some nice die chip action in the 9. You have a partial kind of clash right here next to the 1. Die clash. So there's a lot going on with this coin. It's pretty nice. Here's another one right here. BIE, another little die chip here between the B and E. And sometimes you'll see little chips form in between the I and the B. So you have IIB or the E and the R. Sorry, I can't even think. You could see little die chips form in between any of these letters. But that's another BIE right there. Here is a 54S with a die chip, and you also have a die chip. So a BIE in theory is any sort of die chip or break that actually connects the B and E is considered and attributed as a BIE. But if you have one with like a tiny little chip that comes off the E that doesn't touch the B, it doesn't count. It's just an earlier die state specimen of that type of break. Boom. This one's huge. That's a big old gnarly die chip for the BIE on this 57. I come across a lot of these in the 50s. Now check this one out. This one's a beauty. 55S, and then you actually have the earlier state of a BIE. You could see the die crack going from the B to the E at the bottom. It's kind of like takes a little bit of a curve. The last one of this I sold for $13 about 6 months ago. That's going to be a quick sell. Here's another 55S. This one has a fully formed, just big old chunky little die chip right there. That's cool. Real nice. Here's another one right here, a 55D this time. And then you have probably the first die chip on here that looks like another I. This one above all the other ones I've shown you to this point, and probably the rest of them. This one looks like really another letter I in between the B and E. Pretty crazy. So far I showed you about like 50 bucks worth of coins, and we're halfway through. Another 55D, another die chip. This time it's a different kind of progressed feature there, and it even has a little bit of a interior die break right here. So it's a double. It's a double doozy. 56, another date I haven't shown you, but there it is. Die chip between the B and E. Apparently that was a point on the die of a lot of weakness on these strikes. Another 57. This one's nicer shape. You got some red in the protected areas. But there you go. Right there. It's a nice chunky die chip. Yeah, do you guys believe it that these things sell for like 5 to 10 bucks? Especially in this shape, this condition right here. Anything newer than this, like finding some of the gem BUs with this feature on there is just crazy. It's a crazy, crazy coin that I've seen sell for even maybe 20, 25 bucks. Here's another 57 right there. Pretty cool. And I told you guys, keep an eye out for even coins that go into the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s for the BIEs, because you can even find them on the zinc, the copper-coated zinc coins too of the 90s. Another 57. And then we got a couple nice ones here. 55S, kind of like a red-brown. Look at that right there. Simply delicious. How sweet it is. Look at that, another 55S, another really nice formed die chip there, BIE. That's incredible. Wow. And then finally, the last coin I think I'm going to talk about this evening is another 55S. There it is. Pretty cool. Wow. And that's going through the first 300 coins on the lot. Just incredible run of luck I've had since I started this. I found one, then I found another, and it just kept going. And I'm like, wow, every 5 coins I've gone through is some sort of unbelievable monster. As you guys can see, these are, these are the type of things that you could find in your change. Small die cracks and little errors of that thing, that sort, really does have a place in the secondary market. Okay, just go ahead, go on eBay, for example, even if you're not signed up, and take a look at some examples of some of these errors. You guys are not going to believe how much they sell for. But anyways, that's insane. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. You found a little bit of inspiration for your next roll hunt or pocket change search. They are out there, believe it or not. I've shown you over $100, $120 in coins, maybe even more than that. I haven't even talked about the other half of the coins I found on this particular little group of 300 pennies. But anyways, I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. So much fun to go through the rest of this, and I'm just going to take my sweet time because there's going to be a lot of things I want to share with you. As always, Coinaholics, we are discovering together. Enjoy the hunt. Enjoy coin collecting, and I look forward to hearing some of your successes. You guys take care. I'll see you on the next one.